Chapter 2. Although I traveled through time, it seems I traveled too early. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At night, in a dense forest, several people were stationed in a camp, with a simple tent set up next to the campfire. There were 4 people sitting around the fire. They were all wearing high-collared robes, and their pale and gloomy faces looked very frightening under the light of the bonfire. Several people were more or less injured. After a long moment of silence, one of the black-haired men with ponytails spoke. "If it weren't for this kid dragging him down, we would have finished it long ago. I will go and teach him a lesson now." After saying that, he stood up and walked towards the tent, his hand also pressed on the long knife hanging on his waist, as if he would make people hate him at the next moment. Okay, this matter still needs to be decided by the clan leader. Now is the period of melee. One more person will increase the chance of completing the task. The older man sitting in the middle seat stopped him. Although he didn't have much interaction with the people in the tent, the identity of the other party made him helpless. After all, it was the clan leader who asked him to take care of this guy. No matter how useless the other person was, he had to take care of him as much as possible. Hearing what the older man said, the ponytailed man was angry, but he couldn't disobey the captain's order. On the other side, the man in the tent was slowly waking up. Where the hell is this? I remember that I was walking along the riverside while drinking, and finally my foot slipped. Feeling a stinging pain in his head and a pain in his back as if he had been hit by a car, the man struggled to open his eyes, but there was no familiar ceiling. In the dark space, the tent roof made of linen could be vaguely seen. He tried to raise his hand, but found that he seemed to be pressed down on the bed by a ghost, unable to move. With a cramp in his head, the man fainted again. After another long while, the man was awakened by the quarrel outside the tent. He felt that his limbs seemed to have strength again, and he could barely hold himself up. Looking at his unfamiliar hands and clothing, as well as a katana beside him, and recalling the memory he had just received in his mind, the man was silent for a few seconds. He can really travel through time. And he's Naruto. Fortunately, I still remember the plot. There's a lot of masturbation and he's gay, but isn't there something wrong with this time period? That's right, the man is a social animal who has just entered the society. He lives a life of fishing in the workplace, but he drank a few too many drinks during a team building. After drinking, he wandered to the river alone. Under the anesthesia of alcohol, the man couldn't tell the difference between east, west, and north. He stumbled and slipped into the water. He died, and when he opened his eyes again, he entered the body of this unlucky man. Uchiha Silver, is it Uchiha? According to memory, during the Warring States period, it seemed that Konoha was established very early. It was a period of melee, and the Uchiha clan had just signed a friendship treaty with the Hagoromo clan to jointly fight against the Senju clan. As for their mission this time, they launched the Operation Elimination of Seedlings in order to weaken the new strength of the Senju clan. A group of several people were specifically designed to intercept and kill the young Senju clan, thereby annihilating the backbone of the Senju clan. The original owner was named Uchiha Jin, and both his parents were killed in the war. Because his mother is the elder sister of the current clan leader, Uchiha Taijima, he became an orphan and was adopted by Uchiha Taijima. But among the talented Uchiha clan, Uchiha Jin appears to be very mediocre, even a bit of a loser. He was already in his 20s, but he was defeated in the competition against a 10-year-old tribesman, and in the end he was defeated miserably. Recalling the memory of being beaten by a child, Uchiha Jin looked strange. Then he is a boy named Madara. If I can beat him, I can brag about him for the rest of my life. After probably visiting the memory of the original owner, Uchiha Jin, who now inherited his name, began to analyze the current situation. Now is the Warring States period, so there is no order at all. Murderous intentions are everywhere, swords are ruthless, and ninjutsu is careless. If you are not careful, your soul may return to your hometown. As an ordinary person who has just traveled through time, Uchiha Jin feels that the key is to survive first. After all, in this era, living to the age of 30 is already a luxury. According to the memory of the original owner, Uchiha Jin tried to run the chakra in his body, and found that the chakra flow was as slow as a snail, even intermittent, and he tried to recite it silently in his heart. System, start. After a long time without any feedback, Uchiha Jin opened his eyes and sighed. With no talent and no system, it's really a disaster start. After thinking for a while, Uchiha Jin decided to hug the original owner's thigh tightly first. As the current leader of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Taijima is still very powerful. As his distant nephew, as long as he doesn't get involved in danger, he should be able to live a peaceful life for a few days until Konoha is founded. After thinking about it, Uchiha Ginzy stood up and walked out of the tent. The three people who were sleeping with their eyes closed by the campfire opened their eyes when they noticed the movement. The older man among them saw Uchiha Jin coming out of the tent, his eyes pierced, and he said coldly, "Come over." Seeing that he was ready to move, he motioned for the other person to sit over. Uchiha Jin, who had just arrived, sat obediently opposite the older man. "Uchiha Jin, regarding the losses caused by your mistakes during the day, I will truthfully report to the clan leader when I return. In the following missions, you must not be reckless again, and all actions must follow my command." As he spoke, a flash of scarlet flashed across his narrow eyes, and the pressure generated around him made Uchiha Jin breathless, but he still forced himself to nod. 3 Magatama, this is already considered the top combat power of the Uchiha clan. Looking at the 3 Magatama flashing in the other party's eyes, Uchiha-in thought that the difficulty of this mission should be not small. The original owner learned during the day that the Yui clan had completed a major task first. As a proud Uchiha, the original owner naturally couldn't stand the complacent Yui clan, so he decided to venture deep into the hinterland of the Senju clan to find the target of this mission. Unexpectedly, before entering the territory of the Senju clan, he was discovered by the secret sentry outside, attracting a team of snipers from the Senju clan. The original owner, who was like a chicken, was hit in the back by the opponent with a strange punch after just one encounter. He was originally weak and was blown away like a cannonball for dozens of meters. His head hit the ground and he fainted. Fortunately, the older man in front of him, that is, their captain, Uchiha Funghua, rescued him, and the original owner barely saved his life. It was this kind of brainless behavior that caused several people in the same team to complain about him, but the captain Uchiha Funghua, who knew Uchiha Yin's identity, still took action to suppress the anger of everyone. Is the original owner so reckless? At this time, a figure flashed in front of everyone. It was the ponytail Uchiha who wanted to teach Uchiha Jin a lesson at the beginning. Just now, it was his turn to keep watch. When he heard that everyone in the camp had woken up, he rushed over. Seeing the recovered Uchiha Jin, a hashtag was squeezed out of the ponytail Uchiha's head. Uchiha Jin, if the captain hadn't protected you, I would have burned all your curly hair. If you make any more trouble, I will deal with you before the Senju clan. Hearing this, Uchiha Jin couldn't help but feel a toothache. Looking at the unfriendly eyes of the other people, he suddenly felt overwhelmed. How unpopular was the original owner? Glan glanced at the huge shuriken inserted beside him. Through the smooth side of the blade, under the better vision of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Jin saw his current appearance for the first time, a messy, fluffy, natural curl, a pair of dead fish eyes that deserve a beating. Although the Uchiha clan's genes have made him look handsome, but somehow, the original owner looks like he deserves a beating. I'm sorry, everyone. I was reckless during the day. I will obey your instructions in the next period of time. People have to bow their heads under the eaves, and I haven't fully mastered the power of the original owner yet, so it's better to hide for a while. Ah. Hearing what Uchiha Jin said, several people present were shocked and cried out as if they had seen a ghost. Chapter 3 Seedling Removal Operation. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Just when Uchiha Jin was wondering why several people reacted so radically, the 4 people present opened their scarlet Sharingan eyes at the same time, staring at him, and for a moment he did not dare to make the slightest move. One has 3 Magatama, and the other 3 are all 2 Magatama. Uchiha Jin, who was about to pee when being stared at by several pairs of eyes, slowly raised his hands above his head and said carefully. Everyone, please let me know clearly whether you want to kill or behead me. Although I delayed the mission, you won't do this to me. Shut up. Who are you? With such a superb transformation technique, my two Magatama's Sharingan can't see any flaws. The ponytail Uchiha stared at him and said fiercely. No problem, he is indeed Uchiha Jin. Uchiha Fenghua activated the three Magatama's Sharingan with all his strength, and seriously scanned Uchiha Jin's body all over, and finally closed his eyes and closed the Sharingan. Then what is he causing trouble now? That the strong man Uchiha who had been silent for a long time asked in confusion. Uchiha Jin then recalled the strange character of the original owner, and found that it was not only his strength that made him proud, but also his pure personality. He bullied ordinary people by virtue of being the clan leader's nephew, and acted like a playboy. During this mission, he repeatedly contradicted the other people. If it weren't for Uchiha's sealing fire, he would have been beaten to pieces by several people. Thinking of what the original owner had done, Uchiha Jin couldn't help but take a breath. The original owner can only survive to this day because of the blessing of the immortal of six paths. Thinking of this, Uchiha Jin felt that if he kept the same behavior as the original owner in the future, he would most likely be tricked to death in the next mission. After all, there was someone behind his previous reckless behavior, and he usually offended too many people. There might be someone who wanted him dead, and he had to do something now. Thinking this, Uchiha Silver rolled his eyes and said. I used to only look at the world from my own perspective, with only narrow individualism in my eyes. Uchiha Jin took advantage of the confusion of several people and began to perform. Several people who heard this also closed their Sharingan and began to see what he was up to. However, after spending the past few days with you, I have truly realized that as an Uchiha, I should not live just for myself. I must fight for the revival of Uchiha. Uchiha Jin held his right fist and began to exert force. The few people who were still watching the excitement heard Uchiha Jin's impassioned speech. For some reason, the blood in their bodies began to heat up and agitate, as if something was about to escape from their bodies. This guy seems to have something. Ponytail Uchiha said softly. I lived under the wings of the Taijima clan for the first half of my life, enjoying the shadow of my ancestors. Now that I think about it, it is really shameful. I, Uchiha Jin, will definitely fight for the rise of the Uchiha clan for the rest of my life. Uchiha Jin started to talk nonsense, but with his inflammatory words, several other Uchiha believed it deeply and kept nodding. This guy is right. It does seem like he has woken up. Recognizing mistakes can greatly improve things. Uchiha Jin, who heard that several people were infected by his revealing performance, had a smile of success on his lips, so he continued to increase his power. I am a member of the young pioneers of the Uchiha clan. I swear under the emblem of the Uchiha clan, I am determined to abide by the teachings of the Uchiha ancestors, practice eye skills, practice ninjutsu, and hone body skills, and always be prepared to serve Uchiha. Contribute all your strength to the rejuvenation of the Bo clan. The words were so impassioned that the stunned people seemed to be able to vaguely see a flashing red clan emblem from behind Uchiha Jin. Another Uchiha who was not good at words quickly took out a scroll and excitedly copied down what he had just said. Pa bang bang. I don't know which Uchiha started to applaud involuntarily first, and then the rest of them all agreed with each other as if they had just woken up from a dream. Among them, Ponytail Uchiha, who had the biggest conflict with Uchiha Jin, drummed loudest. Uchiha Fenghua, who led the team, also looked at Uchiha Jin with a look of relief and nodded repeatedly. I didn't expect this dude to say such inspiring remarks. He is truly a genius. Uchiha Jin, what you said makes my blood boil. Now, I, Uchiha Ryoichi, recognize your identity. It turns out that the ponytailed Uchiha is called Uchiha Ryoichi. I have long seen that Ryoichi NII is a talented person. He is a master of shuriken, and he has the legacy of his ancestors. So do I, Uchiha Fuikaku. Brother Feiha's rib gap is also used to reach the extreme, which is dazzling, and can directly hit the enemy's vital points in a matter of millimeters. The same goes for me, Uchiha Dairo. Brother Dalong's fire escape is even more amazing. Wherever he goes, not even a blade of grass grows. Could it be that he has fully understood the changes in the nature of chakra, and the power of his fire escape is close to that of the clan leader? Okay, let's wait until we finish the task before saying any compliments. Seeing the fish-belly white color on the horizon, Uchiha Funghwa stopped their commercial exchanges. After hearing the captain's words, everyone reluctantly stopped communicating. If it were any later, they might have to kowtow to Uchiha Jin one by one. Our team has lagged far behind in this seedling eradication operation, especially when the people of the Hagoromo clan took the lead. It has really disgraced our clan. Now that the war has entered a fierce stage, I will send the mission target information to. Because the Hagoromo clan's target was successfully eliminated, the Senju clan had discovered their purpose, and Uchiha Seal Fire simply no longer concealed the mission. Taking the information handed over by Captain Uchiha Funghwa, Uchiha Jin began to read it carefully. The original owner of the mission only knew a little bit about it, but Uchiha Jin, who knew the plot, vaguely guessed the purpose of their mission. There are more than a dozen children from the Thousand Hands clan listed on the list. The oldest is in his early 10 years and the youngest is only 4 or 5 years old. Uchiha Jin sighed in his heart. It was such a cruel era. No wonder during the Warring States period, living to the age of 30 was considered a long life. At the age of the new generation of the Senju clan on the list, in his previous life, he was just a child studying and having fun at school without any worries. Then he began to read carefully starting from the first person on the list, Senju Hashirama, 14 years old, the eldest son of Senju Budama. He is good at taijutsu and shuriken techniques. He is suspected of being born with strange powers. Other information is unknown. Looking at the hand-drawn melon-headed boy in the document, Uchiha Jin could vaguely recognize this ninja who ended the Warring States period and created the ninja village system in the future, stepped on 9-tailed beasts, and beat Uchiha Madara for life. God, calculating based on his age, Uchiha Jin analyzed the approximate time period he was in. It should be more than 10 years before the peace he wanted could come. It seems that the bad relationship between Hashirama and Madara has begun. Then look down, Senju Tobarama, 10 years old, the second son of Senju Tobarama. He is good at water escape ninjutsu and swordsmanship. His physical skills are extremely fast. Other information is unknown. Looking at the red-eyed white-haired kid on the information in his hand, Uchiha Jin had a headache. The future second-generation Hokage Senju Tobarama was astonishingly talented. Many of the forbidden techniques he developed have been used throughout the entire Naruto series. The technique of multiple shadow clones, the technique of flying thunder gods, and the technique of reincarnation in the dirty earth that played a decisive role in the 4 ninja wars were all made by him. Although I admired him very much, I recalled Senju Tobarama's prejudice against the Uchiha clan in the plot. Not only did he target Uchiha everywhere when he was alive, but after being reincarnated by the dirt, he even said evil Uchiha to the second pillar in the later period. Wave Kid, the reason is probably that his good eldest brother was obsessed with Madara and neglected his only brother, so he became jealous and began to crazily suppress the Uchiha clan for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, Uchiha Jin sighed secretly and then continued to scroll down. Chenju Weijian, 7 years old, the third son of Chenju Budajian, good at earth escape and physical skills, others unknown. After all, he was a young ninja, so the information he prepared was not too detailed. He only summarized his general strength in a few words, but this Senju Wasama is different from the previous 2. An X was drawn on his head with a red pen, and 3 words were scrawled next to it. Cleared. Chapter 4 Evaluation of Uchiha Jin's Strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 3 cleared ones were very eye-catching in the data. Senju Wataru, the son of Senju Fumaru, was also sniped and killed, indicating that the war has entered a white-hot stage, but for Uchiha Jin, whose identity has not yet been changed, killing a child under 10 years old is something that he cannot accept in his heart, but under the current situation, we can only take one step at a time. The Yui clan has killed the 3rd young master of the Senju clan, and we have to work harder. Uchiha Funghwa looked at the people who were reading seriously and decided to cheer them up. Is it really okay? Attack such a young child? Uchiha Jin, who was holding his breath, quietly asked Uchiha Ryoichi beside him, and in return he received a surprised look from the other party. Aren't you the most active in this mission? You kept rushing forward, dragging us down and exposing our whereabouts, and fighting with the Senju clan for a long time before getting away. Uchiha Ryoichi asked in confusion. Uchiha Jin said it was hard to say. Although he received the memories of the original owner, he had forgotten many of the original owner's actions because the time was too short and he was too shocked. If it were other people, they would not put themselves into the roles in the movies they had watched, and would mostly watch the plot from the perspective of a bystander. I saw him do it is not equal to I did it. Thinking of this, Uchiha Jin looked embarrassed, and then pointed to his head, which was still tied with several bandages. I was punched by a member of the Senju clan, and my head hit the rock. My recent memory has been confused. I'm really sorry. Seeing Uchiha Jin's injury, Uchiha Ryoichi expressed his understanding. After all, according to Uchiha Jin's level, he was punched by a strong man of the Senju clan, and it was a blessing from his ancestors that he was not beaten to pieces on the spot. Seeing that Uchiha Jin had gotten away with it, he began to calm down and visit the original owner's memory again while flipping through the materials, but the original owner's memory from a few years ago was a little intermittent, like the stuttering screen when playing an old VCD, which made him look extremely laborious. After a moment, Uchiha Jin came back to his senses, with a glimmer in his eyes, and then he explained Uchiha Jin's previous reckless behavior. Because of the war, Uchiha Jin lost his parents at the age of 8, and Uchiha Taijima, who had not yet become the clan leader, adopted him. 2 years later, Uchiha Taijima became the clan leader and married and had children. Usually, Uchiha Taijima treated Uchiha Jin as his own son. Uchiha Jin was more like Uchiha Taijima's son than a nephew. With the birth of Uchiha Taijima's children, the teenage Uchiha Jin, as the big brother, took on the work of guarding the sons of several clan leaders, but war is cruel after all. The enemy's butcher knife will not stop swinging just because you are a child. On the contrary, anyone who stands in their way, regardless of gender, age or young, is an enemy. In a battle, the Uchiha clan's territory was attacked by the enemy. Uchiha Taijima took all the young fighters to the front line to fight the enemy, leaving only women and children in the territory. Uchiha Jin, as the guard of the clan leader's family, was left to protect Uchiha Taijima's wife and children. Because of his lack of strength, Uchiha Jin was knocked down by the opponent in one encounter. The cruel enemy forced his eyelids open and brutally slaughtered Uchiha Taijima's wife and 3 young children in front of him. What a waste, it's better to be alive like this. The perpetrator laughed and teased Uchiha Jin, who was already gray. The enemy brutally slaughtered the entire territory, leaving only Uchiha Jin, who had screamed to numbness. After all, such a person would not pose any threat to them no matter how much he grew up. When the enemy left, Uchiha Jin, who had lost his soul, knelt in the pile of corpses for 3 days. He didn't notice that the corpses began to rot and stink. Later, when Uchiha Taijima returned, he saw such a tragic scene, and his Sharingan left 2 lines of blood and tears on the spot. Fortunately, because the eldest son Madara and the second son Izuna were old enough to go to the battlefield, Uchiha Taijima took them with him this time, so that the 2 young children escaped. However, Uchiha Taijima never pursued the only survivor, Uchiha Jin. After all, in his opinion, Uchiha Jin was already useless because of the stimulation this time, and it was useless to live or die. Although it makes sense, I always feel that these memories are weird, as if they were arranged, and the tragedy is too logical, right? Uchiha Jin complained helplessly that in the original owner's memory, the Uchiha clan did not fail to investigate the incident, but they were limited in means, and the enemy's methods were obviously concealed. There was no trace of escape technique left at the scene, and everyone died of external injuries. In the end, the matter ended without a trace and became an unsolved case. Although the original owner was an eyewitness, he had no idea of the enemy's attack method. He only saw someone in the other party pull out a weapon from his body to kill, but because it was dark, he did not see clearly what the method was. As a time traveler, Uchiha Jin was different. He had read the entire Naruto and recognized at a glance that the other party used his own bones as a weapon. However, looking at the whole story, the only one who could have such a method was the ancestor Kagaya Otsutsuki, who was sealed on the moon, and the Kagaya clan, who was driven overseas by the Uchiha and Senju clans. Thinking of this, Uchiha Jin couldn't help but open his mind and began to guess the inside story of this matter. Since the murderer is from the Kagaya clan, how did they sneak into the Uchiha clan? There is a traitor among us. Is there a guide like Obito? Although he knew the real murderer of the clan murder case, Uchiha Jin did not have much emotional fluctuations. After all, he was not the original Uchiha Jin. The most important thing at the moment is to understand his own strength, which is the basis of his survival. You must know that the original owner Uchiha Jin was a character that even the 10-year-old Uchiha Madara could not beat. What level of combat power does this belong to? Uchiha Jin was very worried, and then he roughly understood the current strength class division based on his memory, because there is no title of upper, middle and lower ninjas later. Personal combat power can be roughly divided into leaders, elders, captains and ordinary combatants. It should correspond to leaders shadow level, elders pseudo shadow level, captains elite jonin, captains jonin, ordinary combatants special jonin, chun-nin, and small fry genin, the leaders of several large clans, such as Uchiha Taijima, Senju Fushima, Uzumaki Ashina of the Uzumaki clan, and Sarutobi Yukimura of the Sarutobi clan, should be at the level of Kage. The second leaders and elders of each clan should be at the level of Pseudokage, that is, the level of combat power that can be on par with Kage after Krypton life. His captain Uchiha Funghwa, because he opened 3 Magatama, should be between the level of elite Jonin and Jonin, while Uchiha Ryoichi and others opened 2 Magatama. And their level is probably special Jonin or Chunin. The original owner is a bit miserable. So far, he has been in a state of not opening his eyes. His physical skills are so-so, his swordsmanship is barely watchable, but not strong, and his ninjutsu seems to be only the Mercy Ninjutsu fire-style great fireball technique that cannot kill people. The only thing he can show is the shuriken with good accuracy. Overall evaluation, miscellaneous fish, relying on defense. Chapter 5 Target, Senju Itama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My name is Uchiha Jin. I am 24 years old and a loser. Just now, Uchiha Jin, who was still sorting out his memories, was placed at the back of the team by Captain Uchiha Funghwa, probably to take care of his injuries that have not yet recovered. Of course, the more reason is that he is really weak. He can easily be killed by the enemy when he opens a path in front, causing a breakthrough in the team's formation. According to the mission information distributed by Uchiha Seiyuo, Uchiha Jin learned that their target was Senju Itama, the fourth son of Senju Budama. His eldest son and second son had been following Senju Budama for a long time, and it was difficult for them to take action. They settled for the next best thing and could only target Senju Itama at the rear of the battlefield. A few people took advantage of the fact that it was still dark and carefully groped behind the Thousand Hands clan's territory. However, no trace of the enemy was found along the way, and the several camps they passed were already deserted, perhaps because the Hagoromo clan killed the Senju Wama. The Senju clan increased their vigilance and began to shrink the protective net. After all, the people on the rear front were mostly fresh blood like young children, and the Senju clan knew not to take it lightly. Suddenly, there was fire and roar not far ahead. Uchiha Funghwa was at the front of the team. He jumped to the treetops high up, followed closely by Uchiha Jin and others. Uchiha Funghwa immediately opened his Sharingan, and with the blessing of his super dynamic vision, he quickly saw the two parties fighting in the smoke and dust ahead. They are from the Hagoromo clan and the Senju clan. Uchiha Funghwa said in a deep voice. Then shall we go over for reinforcements? Uchiha Ryoichi was a little eager to try, and Uchiha Crane and Uchiha Daru also showed bloodthirsty smiles. Uchiha Funghwa squinted his eyes and thought for a moment before saying. Wait a moment. We'll wait until the other party has consumed almost all of it before we attack. This Uchiha Funghwa looked thick-browed and big-eyed, but he didn't expect that he was actually Voldemort. Uchiha Jin complained in his heart after hearing Uchiha's order to seal the fire, compared with several other people in the team who had their Sharingan open to observe the battlefield. Uchiha Jin, who did not have his Sharingan open, could only see a few clouds of smoke and occasional bursts of water and fire. Sure enough, without the Sharingan, he was still too far behind. In a battle of this scale, he might die if he was not careful. Just when he was thinking about how to survive, Uchiha Funghwa seemed to have discovered something and pointed to the back of the battlefield. Is that boy our target? Following the direction he pointed, several people discovered that although the two teams on the opposite side were fighting, it seemed that the people of the Thousand Hands clan were fighting and retreating, with no intention of fighting. Behind the team, there were several adults from the Senju clan who were covering a child who was evacuating. The kid with black and white hair was extremely conspicuous. "That's right, Captain, that's Senju Itama." Uchiha. He quickly took out the information and compared it and said excitedly. "Haha, it's really hard to find a place to go without wearing iron shoes. Let's go." Now that the target has been discovered, there is no need to sit back and watch the fight between tigers and tigers. Uchiha Fenghua waved his hand. Except for Uchiha Silver, who was half a beat, the other people quickly followed Uchiha Fenghua and ran towards the battlefield, running back and forth. "Throw out the shuriken." The anxious two parties were shocked when they saw several people suddenly killed. Among them, the people of the Yui clan were relieved when they saw the scarlet eyes. After fighting for so long, reinforcements finally arrived. The Senju clan felt a sense of pressure when they saw the Uchiha and the others. The Senju clan members in the front row worked hard to refine chakra to perform earth escape, and climbed up the stone wall to try to delay time. After all, this is the territory of the Thousand Hands clan, and their reinforcements should be on the way. Uchiha Jin arrived late. As soon as he entered the battlefield, the pungent smell of blood made him dizzy, and a feeling of nausea came into his heart. Seeing the corpses and blood everywhere, Uchiha Jin suppressed the discomfort in his heart, drew out the katana from his waist and looked at the unseen enemy warily. The leader of the Hagoromo clan is a middle-aged man, wearing armor and with long brown hair. Uchiha Jin could vaguely see a small raised horn on his forehead covered by bangs. At this time, he was forming seals with both hands crazily, and one escape technique after another hit the earth escape supported by the Senju clan. Judging from the momentum, this person was at least an elite jounin. The Hagoromo clan is also a team of 5 members. 2 people are already lying on the ground, not knowing whether they are alive or dead. The leading elite jounin is also panting. The escape technique output just now consumed a lot of his chakra. Even such a strong person couldn't defeat the opponent. It seemed that the Senju clan was no ordinary person. "Guys from the Hagoromo clan, please step back and leave the rest to us." Uchiha Fenghua looked at the panting Hagoromo clan and asked them to step back with disdain. The pride of the Uchiha clan makes them disdain to join forces with other clans to kill the enemy. Even if they are in alliance, they just fight on their own. However, we have almost exhausted the opponent. Seeing that the Uchiha clan did not want to share the victory with them, the jounin of the Hagoromo clan said anxiously. "Do you have any objections?" Several pairs of Uchiha's cold red eyes turned to stare at him at the same time. It's okay. I'll leave the rest to you." The people of the Hagoromo clan, whose scalps were numb after being stared at, had no choice but to lower their heads and admit their defeat. They were stronger than others. Uchiha Fenghua nodded after receiving a satisfactory answer. The Senju clan saw that there seemed to be a conflict between Uchiha and the Hagoromo clan. The leading Senju clan made a retreat gesture, and the few people behind them quickly prepared to run away. The moment the Senju clan turned around, Uchiha's fire-sealing long sword was already coming towards him. The Senju clan's jounin reacted quickly and raised his hand, relying on the armor on his arm to deflect it towards him. A knife with a purpose. "Did I let you go?" Uchiha Fenghua and others surrounded the Senju clan. Senju Koji was so shocked that he was numb and could no longer lift his hands. He had already exhausted too much energy in the initial encounter with the Hagoromo clan, and the wounds on his body were bleeding profusely. Now that he was surrounded and suppressed by Uchiha again, he felt that the odds were against him, but he couldn't just sit back and wait for death. The future of the Senju clan was still in his hands, and he had to protect this seedling even if he risked his life. Thinking of this, he forcibly refined chakra, frantically drained his life force, and activated forbidden techniques to accelerate the recovery of his injuries and physical strength. The Senju clan is born with a strong physique, and has chakra capacity and healing power that is different from ordinary people. In desperate situations, the Thousand Hands clan can often burst out with far greater strength than usual. Gritting his teeth, Senju Koji faced the strongest Uchiha Seiyuu head-on, trying to use his own life to give those behind him a chance to escape. Seeing the opponent's stubborn resistance, even as an old enemy, Uchiha Funhwa couldn't help but be in awe and began to take the enemy in front of him seriously. So he stepped forward with a sword and started a physical battle with Senju Koji. For a moment, there were swords and swords. There were 3 remaining members of the Senju clan who were surrounded. They surrounded a child and looked warily at the surrounding Uchiha Ryoichi and others. Surrounded by them was the target of the Uchiha Fire Sealing team this time, Senju Itama. If I had known better, I should have listened to my father and stayed in the territory peacefully. Surrounded in the middle, the 5-year-old Senju Itama was already trembling, but the pride of the Senju clan drove the child to tremblingly take out a kunai from his waist and place it across his chest. As his whole body trembled, the armor that didn't fit well also creaked. This is the first time for the young Senju Itama to go to the battlefield. Some time ago, his elder brother Senju Itama was sniped and killed outside the territory. He was forcibly detained by his father in the territory. However, a seed of revenge was planted in the little boy. Buried in the body, it grew wildly as the war progressed. Finally, when Senju Itama took his 2 brothers to the front line, Senju Itama, unable to hold back his desire for revenge, sneaked out of the camp overnight, wearing his brother's armor, and went to the battlefield to find his enemies. Although the remaining guards of the Senju clan discovered him in time, they were still ambushed by the Hagoromo clan on their way back to find him. Under the sneak attack, several ordinary combatants from the Senju clan who were traveling with them were killed on the spot. Only the captain of the escort team, Senju Koji, and 3 members of the Chunin strength survived. Just as they were fighting and retreating, support from the Uchiha clan arrived. Senju Itama, who had still had hope of survival, instantly experienced what a 2-level reversal was. Now surrounded by the Uchiha clan, they could only fight in a trapped beast. At this time, he could only pray that Senju Koji would defeat the Uchiha seal and support them later. Chapter 7, First Battle After Crossing Over. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Senju Itama, who was trying his best to escape, found an Uchiha standing on the road he had to pass, and a look of despair appeared on his face. At only 5 years old, no matter how talented he was, he had little power to fight back against an adult Uchiha. The Uchiha in front of him had a bandage on his curly hair, and his 2 dead fish eyes were dull and lifeless. It seemed that he was not very excited about his self-entrapment. Instead, his slightly handsome face showed a tangled expression. Without thinking deeply, Senju Itama, holding a kunai, resolutely rushed towards Uchiha Jin, who was still in a daze. However, seeing Senju Itama, who looked ready to die, Uchiha Jin had to draw the samurai sword at his waist and prepare for the fight. Bang! That the 2 weapons collided with each other and made a muffled sound. Uchiha Jin, who felt the heavy blow on his arm, flew several meters away with his face on the ground, and climbed up with a look of surprise. Is this kid so strong? Is this guy so weak? Standing blankly, Senju Banjian looked at the kunai in his hand with a little disbelief. He couldn't believe that he could actually repel an adult Uchiha. Uchiha Jin swore that he didn't hold back just now, because it was his first battle after crossing, and he subconsciously used all his strength, but in the end he was beaten away by a 5-year-old child. Looking at Uchiha Jin, who got up in a mess, Senju Banjian's eyes burst with hope of life, and he waved the kunai more vigorously and rushed towards the Uchiha on the opposite side. At this moment, the system prompt sounded in Uchiha Jin's mind. Detected that the host encountered a battle, and the heart steel treasure box began to accumulate. The heart steel treasure box in the sea of consciousness began to tremble, and then played the explosive BGM like a speaker. Listening to the familiar BGM in his head, Uchiha Jin's brain twitched. Can the things produced by this old system be more reliable? Returning to the battle, the kunai in Senju Banjian's hand, which was restricted by his height, was about to stab Uchiha Jin's lower 3 rods. Uchiha Jin, who blocked the demonic BGM in his mind, barely dodged the attack that would have killed his younger brother. Then he used the classic Uchiha sword technique to chop at Senju Banjian, but the opponent blocked it with the kunai. He watched speechlessly as his full-strength attack was easily resolved by a 5-year-old child. Uchiha Jin was truly sure that the original owner of his body was really a loser. He had lived like a dog for more than 20 years, and his combat power might only be considered the level of a later generation of genin. not the level of the 12 little strongmen but the level of a background genin. Even so, he couldn't easily admit defeat now. Uchiha Fenghua and Uchiha Ryoichi and others might be able to end the battle soon. Even if he let Senju Banjin go now, he would be killed by them the next moment. Moreover, his mission was to save Senju Itama from Uchiha Fenghua and others. Now he was the only one present. If he let him go, he was not sure whether he could complete the mission. If he failed, he would have to delete his account and start over. The two fought back and forth for several rounds, and it was hard to tell who would win. As expected of the genius young master of the Senju clan, I, Uchiha Jin, would like to call you the strongest in physical skills. Uchiha Jin spoke to Senju Itama, who was a little out of breath. Uchiha Jin, right? You are not bad either. I, Senju Itama, recognize you. Senju Itama, who was also facing the enemy for the first time, also had a burst of second-year soul, and the unique natural temperament of the Senju clan was undoubtedly revealed. Just when the two were in a stalemate, Uchiha Fenghua and others had already ended the battle. Senju Koji was hit head-on by Uchiha Fenghua's fire style, great fireball technique, and his life or death was unknown. Oh my god, did the great fireball kill people? The three Senju clan members of the Guardian team were also defeated by Uchiha Ryoichi and his 3 men, lying on the ground covered in blood. They saw that Uchiha Jin had not yet killed Senju Itama, so they all surrounded him. Senju Itama and Uchiha Jin were in a fierce fight, and the two even showed a sympathetic relationship, but Senju Itama was only 5 years old after all, and his physical strength was obviously not as good as that of the adult Uchiha Jin. In a wave of fighting, his hands and feet softened, and he was knocked out by Uchiha Jin, hitting a protruding rock behind him, and he was unable to get up for a long time. The host wins, and gets 1 heart energy point. After 3 more battles, you can unlock the Heart Steel Treasure Box reward. Current accumulated heart energy, 1. Senju Itama, who fell to the ground after exhaustion, was judged by the system to have lost to Uchiha Jin. With the end of the battle, Uchiha Fenghua and others also came to Uchiha Jin, and the 5 of them surrounded Senju Itama, who was slowly climbing up, and the famous scene in the original work was achieved. Desperately watching the 5 adult Uchiha surrounded him, Senju Itama, shaking and holding a kunai, had only despair in his eyes. He knew that he might die with his 3rd brother today. Uchiha Ryoichi flung a shuriken teasingly like a cat playing with a mouse, brushing Senju Itama's face and stabbing it into the rock behind him. This move broke down Senju Itama's last psychological defense. He was only 5 years old and began to tremble all over, and tears began to well up in his eyes. Okay, our mission is finally completed. Let's get rid of him quickly. The reinforcements of the Senju clan should be here soon. The Uchiha Fenghua, who had suffered a burst of attack from Senju Koji before his death, was not in a very good state. His eyes were very sore at this time, which was caused by the overuse of the Sharingan. The others heard this and looked at the silent Uchiha Jin at the same time, because the one who worked the hardest for this mission was Uchiha Jin. He even dared to break into the territory of the Senju clan alone to complete this mission. Although he was not strong enough, the few people who heard his Uchiha declaration subconsciously felt that this mission should be completed by him. Uchiha Jin, who was stared at by several people, also guessed what they were thinking from their eyes. Without hesitation, he slowly drew out his sword with an uncertain expression and walked towards Senju Itama, who had given up resistance. With his hand raised and the sword fell, under the surprised eyes of others, he knocked Senju Itama to the ground with the back of the sword. Uchiha Jin, what do you mean? For Uchiha Jin, who showed mercy, several people questioned his behavior. The young master of the Senju clan is more useful when alive than when dead. Uchiha Jin, expressionless, put the samurai sword back into his waist, then squatted down and carried the unconscious Senju Itama. Our mission is just to remove the young Senju. Don't be nosy. Kill him and we will evacuate. Uchiha Fenghua seemed a little angry about Uchiha Yin's disobedience. As the captain, he was disobeyed by his team members, which made him unacceptable. I said, a living Senju is more useful than a corpse. Just as the gunpowder smell between the two sides became stronger, Uchiha Feiha's face changed. The mechanism I set up was triggered, and the reinforcements of the Senju clan are coming soon, that it turned out that Uchiha Feiha had set up several mechanisms around before the battle, and he could sense it immediately after it was triggered. Evacuate first. Hearing that the other side had reinforcements approaching, the injured Uchiha Fenghua did not dare to stay any longer. Continuing to argue would only make things worse. Yes, the people who received the order stood up and quickly evacuated away from the Senju clan. Uchiha In was temporarily relieved, but he did not dare to let go of the Senju Banjian, so he had to carry the fainted kid and evacuate behind the team. Several people rushed with all their strength until they could no longer sense the pursuit behind them. The few people who escaped the pursuit rested in a cave, and the unconscious Senju Banjian was tied up by Uchiha In with iron chains. He didn't know how to seal chakra yet, so he could only roughly wrap Senju Banjian with iron chains like a zongzi. Uchiha In, I hope you can give me a reasonable explanation. Sitting in front of the campfire, Uchiha Fenghua looked at Senju Banjian who was tied up, and questioned Uchiha In who was wiping his sweat after finishing his work. Feeling that he would be questioned sooner or later, Uchiha In brought out the excuse he had thought of before. I left him alive because of the clan leader. Uchiha In explained. When several people heard this answer, they all looked at each other, because the task they received from the clan leader was only to get rid of Senju, and there was no order to capture him alive. Uchiha In's nonsense began. It all started when I was standing guard in front of the clan leader's door. Chapter 8 The Losing Streak Begins. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. It was a dark and windy night. I stood guard at the door of the Patriarch's office as usual. Even if it was late at night, I didn't dare to relax for a moment, because the Patriarch was still working hard on the war. Looking for countermeasures, suddenly, I heard the sound of the Patriarch throwing something, and then I heard the Patriarch's roar. Speaking of this, Uchiha Jin paused and glanced at several Uchiha who were listening with interest. Come on, tell me, what did the clan leader roar about? Uchiha Ryoichi, who heard that there was no follow-up to the key part, hurriedly rushed over. That's right. Uchiha Crane and Uchiha Dairo also echoed, and Uchiha Fenghua, who was silent on the side, also stared at him curiously. Feeling a little thirsty, Uchiha Jin touched the kettle behind his back and found that it was empty. Just as he was thinking about it, he saw Uchiha Ryoichi holding his own water bottle with both hands. Uchiha Jin felt the thirst in his throat, but he didn't mind it. He opened the bottle and drank heavily. After drinking the water comfortably, Uchiha Jin raised his hand to signal the others not to rush, then brewed his emotions and said mysteriously. In the damn thousand-armed Buddha, I will crush your bones and turn you into ashes. I will raise your wife. What do you mean by this? Uchiha Ryoichi and others were confused. Uchiha Jin showed a helpless expression at the right time, sighed and shook his head. If you don't say that I, with such low strength, can be qualified to serve as the personal bodyguard of the Taijima clan leader, what do you think I can rely on to remain in this position for so many years? Isn't it because the clan leader is your cousin? Uchiha Crane, who usually doesn't speak much, complained in a low voice, but because the cave is not spacious, his words echoed among several people as if they were spoken from a loudspeaker. Ear. Ahem, cough, cough, as the saying goes, don't shy away from relatives when promoting good people. Uchiha Jin coughed awkwardly. What I rely on is my loyalty to the clan leader. More importantly, I can interpret every move the clan leader makes. Interpretation. For a great ninja like the clan leader, every inadvertent action and casual words he says have another layer of meaning. Although the Patriarch said some things, it is equivalent to not saying them. And although there are some things the Patriarch did not say, the meaning behind them is not something that ordinary people can understand. As far as our mission is concerned, on the surface the clan leader's order is to kill the geniuses of the Thousand Hands clan on the spot, but the deeper mission is to capture them alive. We think that Senju Buddhajian has always loved his youngest son very much. A simple sniper killing will only cause the Senju clan to fight to the death and bring losses to the family in vain. But if Senju Butsujian's son is captured alive, the clan leader will using this child to intimidate the Senju clan will be of great benefit to us Uchiha without any harm. What a brilliant idea! Did the clan leader reveal these to you? Uchiha Funghwa couldn't help but sigh after listening to it for a long time. No, it's all my guess. Although it was thrilling, the explanation still fooled Uchiha Funghwa and others. As long as the task was successfully settled, it would not be Uchiha Jin's business whether Senju Itama was dead or alive. After a night's rest, several people recovered to some extent and began to return to the Uchiha clan's territory with the tied Senju Itama. Because their trip was deep behind enemy lines, they still had nearly half a month to go home. Since it was Uchiha Jin who saved Senju Itama's life without authorization, he could only be responsible for the transportation. But the more important reason is that he is afraid that the other people will accidentally kill Senju Itama, and if the mission fails, he will also die along with Xiang Yu. After a long journey the next day, several people camped next to a small river to rest at night. During this period, Senju Itama woke up once, and before he could recover, he was slapped unconscious by Uchiha Jin. Now he didn't have the energy to communicate with Senju Itama anymore, since he was already carrying a prisoner. Even though he had already removed the cumbersome armor from Senju Itama's body, a child still weighed 30 or 40 kilograms, and the original owner's frail body made him somewhat powerless. Uchiha Jin, who was sitting in a daze, suddenly thought that his heart steel treasure box had not been triggered today. He was not very clear about the triggering mechanism of the heart steel treasure box. After thinking for a moment, he stood up and walked towards Uchiha Ryoichi, who was leaning against the tree, looking at Uchiha Jin coming towards him. Uchiha Ryoichi frowned, wondering what the other party was doing instead of coming to him instead of taking a good rest. During the day, it was because of his drag that the team walked nearly half the original distance, which made Uchiha Ryoichi feel resentful, as he wanted to go back early to resume his life. Brother Liang. Uchiha Jin spoke first. Don't call me brother, I'm younger than you. Uchiha Jin is 24 years old this year, while Uchiha Ryoichi is only 20 years old. Although they are 4 years older, their strength is very different. Good luck. Uchiha Jin was not polite either. Looking at the other party's speechless expression, Uchiha Jin didn't take it lightly. Ryoichi, I want to have a discussion with you. Uchiha Ryoichi was stunned for a moment and said nothing. However, Uchiha Jin, who did not receive the notification sound, secretly thought. It seems that unilaterally launching a challenge cannot activate the combat conditions of Heart Steel. No time. For the rookie Uchiha Jin, Uchiha Ryoichi didn't want to waste his rest time. Are you afraid? After all, my shuriken technique was taught by the clan leader himself, and I have never met an opponent so far. Uchiha Jin looked sad and shook his head to express that it was too cold to be at a high place. MD, if I don't shoot you into a sieve today, I will change your surname to Senju. Uchiha Ryo got angry immediately. The poor ancient people never learned Sun Tzu's art of war. It was detected that the host was encountering a battle, and the heart steel treasure box began to accumulate. Sure enough, Uchiha Jin was overjoyed when he heard the sound in his head. The next step is to face the battle with Uchiha Ryoichi. After all, the two are of the same race, so taking action is not a fatal operation. Uchiha Ryoichi first threw out 5 shurikens, and drilled into the gaps between Uchiha Jin's limbs from 5 different angles. Uchiha Jin relied on the memory of the original owner to skillfully throw out 5 shurikens to meet them. Passed, as expected, the 10 shurikens collided together accurately. Looking at the shurikens scattered on the ground, Uchiha Jin couldn't help but rate the original owner a little higher. It seemed that the original owner was not just handsome. It's interesting, let's try this. Seeing that the shuriken he threw was accurately stopped, Uchiha Ryoichi also began to become serious. He took off the Fuma shuriken from his back and threw it hard at Uchiha Jin. Looking at the huge shuriken flying towards him, Uchiha Jin did not dodge in a hurry, but looked at the shuriken indifferently. Flying closer and closer, this scene frightened Uchiha Ryoichi, who threw the shuriken. He wondered if this guy Uchiha Jin didn't want to live anymore, so he didn't dodge. He didn't want to be accused of killing his own people, so he hurriedly turned over and tried to stop his shuriken before Uchiha Jin was cut in half. Uchiha Ryoichi was very fast. Just when he was about to touch the shuriken, Uchiha Jin quickly fell to the ground in a posture of falling to the ground, narrowly escaping the fatal blow. and also made Uchiha lose his target. Woolyang staggered and almost rushed into the river. Uchiha Jin, who was lying on the ground, raised his hands and said something like a beating. "You are worthy of being the best shuriken genius in the family, Uchiha Ryoichi. I, Uchiha Jin, would like to call you the strongest shuriken player. I'm willing to bow down." Plop. Uchiha Ryoichi, who was so angry at these words, still couldn't control his body and fell straight into the water. He had never seen such a shameless person. The host fails and gains anima *10. After 2 more battles, the Heart Steel treasure box reward can be unlocked. Current total anima, 11. Uchiha Jin's eyes lit up when he heard the beep, and regardless of the mess he was lying on the ground, he quickly stood up and rescued Uchiha Ryoichi, who fell into the water. "Ryoichi, I think that's the end of today's battle. It was really a hearty battle. I have benefited a lot from this battle. I hope I can fight again tomorrow after resting tonight." Uchiha Jin's words were so high-sounding that veins popped out on Uchiha Ryoichi's forehead. Roll. Chapter 9 System Warning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Ryoichi cursed and left, leaving Uchiha Jin with a look of reluctance. In Uchiha Jin's eyes, the people around him are all green leeks, waiting for him to harvest them one by one. It seems that Uchiha Ryoichi won't be able to count on tomorrow. Uchiha Jin secretly cried out that it was a pity, but even so, he couldn't help shouting. "Good luck, let's discuss it another day." Without looking back, Uchiha Ryoichi stretched out a hand and made a friendly gesture with his middle finger. It could be seen that he was full of expectations for Uchiha Jin's fight. "TSK, the local Uchiha is so rude." Uchiha Jin commented with a look of hatred, "The number of battles for today has been exhausted." According to the system description, even if he enters the Battle Heart Steel treasure box again, it will not be triggered again. At that moment, he began to take a closer look at the treasure chest in his mind. Its appearance was as gaudy as what he had seen in his previous life. During the battle just now, the same exciting BGM was playing as when he was fighting Senju Itama yesterday, but today he was prepared and actively blocked the music. Uchiha Jin tried to click on the treasure box, but found that there was no response. He thought to himself. Isn't there a description of the props? The system is an advanced server, 90% of the content has not been loaded yet, please wait patiently. The system, which had been silent for a long time, was finally willing to appear and patiently explain to Uchiha Jin. When Uchiha Jin asked, the system disappeared without a trace again, and there was no response no matter how much he called. It seems that you can only get it 4 times to know what reward this treasure chest has. After fumbling to no avail, Uchiha Jin simply gave up research. After all, he had only activated the system for a day, and the functions of the system could only be slowly discovered later. Then he turned his attention to several other Uchiha. There was a malicious look in the dead fish's eyes. Uchiha Fuikaku, who was wiping his ribs, and Uchiha Dairo, who was meditating to refine chakra, couldn't help but shudder. The next day, Uchiha Jin, who woke up early, took the lead in finding the usually taciturn Uchiha Fuikaku. "Brother Feiha, I have always heard that your swordsmanship is like a god. It happened that my little brother was taught a swordsmanship by Chief Taijima, so I would like to take this opportunity to compete with Brother Feiha and make progress together." After hearing this, Uchiha Feiha was stunned for a moment, and then said. "We're about to leave soon. I'm afraid it's too late to discuss things now. We'll talk about it later when we rest." But for Uchiha Feiha, how can he let the cooked duck fly? Just listen to what he said. "Without delaying things, we can determine the outcome with one move." Seeing Uchiha Feiha's evasiveness again, he added. "Brother Feiha, it's understandable that he's afraid of losing at my hands. After all, it's the sword technique passed down from the clan leader himself. It's true that ordinary Uchiha can't parry it." After saying that, he showed a sigh of relief again, which made people's teeth itch. Uchiha Feiha looked at him in surprise, wondering when this kid had become so swollen. He immediately took out the ribs from his waist and the sword from his back, placed them in front of him, and took a stance. "Please enlighten me, that he was actually a dual swordsman." Uchiha Jin looked at Uchiha Feiha's starting stance, and his heart changed, and he also drew out the katana behind him. Holding the sword tightly with both hands, he looked at the other party with cold eyes, as if looking for Uchiha Fuikaku's flaws. The two were in a stalemate for a long time, but neither of them made any move. Uchiha Feiha was looking for flaws, but he found that Uchiha Jin's whole body was full of flaws, but Uchiha Jin was waiting for a prompt from the system, because there was no prompt from the system, which made him a little hesitant. Brother Feiha, please make the first move. Recalling the previous two battles, it seemed that the other party had struck first, so after a long silence, he spoke first. The opposite Uchiha Feiha was not relaxed either. He found that although Uchiha Jin's movements were ordinary and even full of flaws, the opponent's expression was as usual and he even had a chance to win. This series of operations caused him to keep thinking in his mind, so that he was sweating all over his body. As soon as Uchiha Jin finished speaking, Uchiha Feiha stepped forward and used his first move tentatively. Seeing Uchiha Feiha suddenly take action, Uchiha Jin's nerves tensed subconsciously, and the system's voice came out in time in his mind. It was detected that the host was encountering a battle, and the heart steel treasure box began to accumulate. As he expected, the system will determine that the battle has started only if the opponent takes action first, but in this case, wouldn't it mean that in future battles, he would have to start with a round of talk to taunt his opponent and draw a wave of hatred? He would not be able to trigger the heart steel treasure box with assassination attacks or anything like that. Then wouldn't he just change from an assassin in the dark to a warrior who must be ridiculed? Before he had time to think about it, when he saw Uchiha Feiha who was already bullying him, Uchiha Jin threw away the katana in his hand, then raised his hands and said confidently, "I give up." Uchiha Feiha's knife stopped in front of the tip of his nose, and his usually stern face turned red at this moment, as if he had been greatly insulted. He hesitated for 3 seconds, and when he was about to put away his sword and say something, Uchiha Jin suddenly rolled forward, picked up the fallen katana on the ground, and slashed from bottom to top at Uchiha Feiha, who had relaxed his vigilance. Fortunately, Uchiha Fuikaku is an Uchiha who has been immersed in sword skills for many years. With his reflex nerves far beyond ordinary people, he pushed the ribs of his left hand forward and missed Uchiha Jin's katana, and then used the force to push back. Jump and adjust your position. Using this tactic, is it also part of the swordsmanship? Show weakness first and then sneak attack when I let my guard down. This kind of behavior will damage the reputation of the Uchiha clan. It must not have been taught to you by the clan leader. Uchiha Feiha looked at Uchiha Jin who had not succeeded, and said in a deep voice, his tone full of disdain. "Sir, have you eaten poop?" Uchiha Jin explained with a serious expression, while secretly thinking. "I gave up on my own initiative and was warned by the system." Just at the moment when Uchiha Jin dropped his katana and admitted defeat, there was no reminder of gaining anima as he thought, but a systematic warning signal. It has been detected that the host has faked matches, and 10 points of anima have been deducted. The system has zero tolerance for match fixing. If the host engages in match fixing again, the system will take back the heart steel treasure box. Now the battle continues. The moment he heard the warning, it only took 0.01 seconds for Uchiha Jin to react, so he took advantage of the situation and started to counterattack. The loss of 10 points of anima made Uchiha Jin feel heartbroken, and his thoughts of having a bug were also extinguished. It seems that you have to follow the right path in everything you do, and bugs are untouchable. Since he couldn't easily obtain anima points in this way, Uchiha Jin stopped pretending. As he seriously started the battle mode, he was knocked to the ground by Uchiha Fuikaku in 3 moves as expected, and the katana in his hand almost dropped. "That's it." Uchiha Feiha looked at Uchiha Jin who was easily defeated and asked in disbelief. "You didn't look like you were sure of victory just now, why did you pull it off so quickly?" The host fails and gains anima *12. After another battle, the heart steel treasure box reward can be unlocked. Current total anima, 13. It was actually 2 points more than last time. Ahem, it was such a hearty battle. I, Uchiha Jin, would like to call you the strongest in swordsmanship. Uchiha Jin, who was half kneeling on the ground, used one hand to support himself on the ground, and extended his thumb with the other hand, smiling with a shining tooth. Uchiha Feiha was speechless by this scene. He immediately put away his sword and left without looking back, as if he had been greatly insulted. I have benefited a lot from this battle. I hope I can fight again tomorrow after resting today. Cast the net widely to catch more fish. Uchiha Feiha is also a high-quality leak that must not be let go. Idiot. The taciturn Uchiha Feiha dropped 2 words from a distance. The battle between the two was short, and everyone else in the camp had packed up. After cleaning up the traces, they set off on their way back. The unconscious Senju Itama was still being carried by Uchiha Jin. After yesterday's day's trek, he had basically adapted to traveling alone, and today's journey was much easier. Fortunately, no enemies were encountered along the way. As night fell, Uchiha, who was leading the way, stopped and ordered a few people to camp and rest. Everyone set up their tents on the spot, and Uchiha Jin had just set up his tent and was about to take a good rest. Brother. At this time, Senju Itama, who had been unconscious for a day and a night, woke up and murmured for his brother. Your brother is gone. Uchiha Jin squatted in his ear and whispered like a devil. By the way, your brother is gone too. Congratulations on becoming a cute girl squatting and peeing. Forehead. It's not that there wasn't one in the first place. After being hit repeatedly, Senju Itama woke up completely. When he saw the curly-haired fish eyes in front of him, he remembered that he was being held prisoner, but as soon as he screamed twice, he felt something was stuffed in his mouth, which made him choke. Tears were shed. Chapter 10 People Who Shouldn't Exist. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Under the dark night, the pale moonlight shone on the face of the Uchiha clan who had captured him. Combined with his evil smile, it looked very eerie, making the already timid Senju Itama shiver uncontrollably, and his mouth blocked by foreign objects could only make a whine. Little devil of the Senju family, if I were you, I would eat it now. The Uchiha devil in front of him looked at him and rolled his dead fish eyes and said. Hearing this, Senju Itama subconsciously licked the thing in his mouth with his tongue, and the tip of his tongue responded with a salty fragrance. Then he bit it hard and found that the thing could be bitten. After chewing it carefully for a few times, he found that the thing in his mouth was actually jerky. Senju Itama, who had not eaten for 2 days, did not care whether the food given to him by the enemy was poisonous or not, and chewed it in big mouthfuls, and ate a large piece of jerky into his stomach in no time. After finishing the meal, he smacked his lips and asked with a lingering feeling. Anything else? Hearing that this captive was so shameless, Uchiha Jin's forehead was choked with anger, and then he slapped his black and white head. Little brat, don't you understand the situation? The Senju clan will never be slaves. If you have the guts, just kill me, and my father and brother will avenge me. Senju Itama was also tough, looking at the expression of the little brat in front of him who was ready to die. Uchiha Jin, who had wanted to tease him, suddenly felt bored. In his previous life, he also had brothers and sisters. A boy as old as Senju Itama probably watched cartoons and ate snacks every day, and lived a carefree and happy childhood. But in this era, such a young child has already killed or been killed on the battlefield. What a disgusting era. Uchiha Jin, who felt a little heavy, was moved. After all, he was a modern person with normal values a few days ago. It is impossible for him to be assimilated into this era all of a sudden. It is too strange for the protagonist who can adapt to the new rules just after crossing over. Ah, what are you talking about? I tell you, I won't say a word about the information of the family. Senju Banjian, who guessed that the other party captured him to torture the information of the Senju clan, still said stubbornly, and his small face revealed the maturity that he should not have at his age. What a self-righteous brat. Uchiha Jin suddenly looked down at him, with a cold breath in his eyes. Senju Banjian, who was stared at by him, felt scared, but the pride from the blood of the Senju clan made him look at the Uchiha in front of him stubbornly. Very good eyes, we won't kill you for now, but don't think about running away. Of course, don't think about committing suicide, because if you die, we can only catch your brother again. Looking at the biting eyes of the little ghost in front of him, Uchiha-in slowly squatted down, got closer and whispered in his ear. Little ghost, You don't want your brother to be caught by us because of you, right? That like the whisper of an ancient god, Senju Banjian was confused for a while, and the resistance that had just risen was instantly disintegrated. I hope you cooperate well. The royal Uchiha clan has always treated prisoners well, and maybe they will let you live in the end. Uchiha In continued to bewitch. Can you promise? After a moment of silence, Senju Banjian raised his head, his small face full of determination. I swear on the honor of the Uchiha ancestors. Anyway, the ancestor is now shrinking in the body of Uchiha Madara, and he swears that Uchiha In has no burden in his heart. Chu. A hedgehog-headed boy who was practicing skipping stones by the river suddenly felt a chill on his back and sneezed violently. Next to him, a mushroom-headed boy was teaching him how to throw stones to the other side. Seeing him suddenly sneeze, he asked with concern. Are you okay? Don't worry if you can't throw it over. You have to find the feeling of pulling upwards. It's all your fault that you, a weird guy, stand behind me. I have a super sensitive physique that makes people standing behind me unable to pee. Sorry. The scolded mushroom-headed boy sat down on the ground depressed. Two entangled people, fateful encounter, the era of ninjas begins here, Senju Itama compromised. Now the other party is holding his weakness. The young boy can't analyze whether the other party's words are true or false like his precocious second brother Senju Tobarama. If Uchiha Jin said that to Senju Tobarama just now, he probably wouldn't see the sun the next day, because Senju Banjian took the initiative to cooperate. Uchiha Jin removed the iron chain on him. After all, he had been carrying this kid on his back, and the iron chain weighing more than 10 pounds was a burden. Retracting the scroll also greatly reduced the burden, and then simply tied Senju Banjian's hands with a rope. The other party must not be allowed to sleep in the tent, so Uchiha Jin circled a piece of open space behind the tent and inserted a wooden stake. He tied Senju Banjian to the stake in the same way that Hatake Wuokai tied Naruto when he first tested the 7th class. Uchiha Jin, who had settled everything, was a little tired, and the next step was to go back to the tent to rest, while thinking about how to trick Uchiha Dalong into a battle with him tomorrow and get some mental energy from the heart steel treasure box. He stretched his body. Just as he was about to go back to the tent after going out of the open space behind the tent, he suddenly found that the surrounding atmosphere stagnated and felt that someone was spying behind him. He subconsciously looked back at the stake where Senju Itama was tied. In the dark night, a figure stood silently on the stake, and Senju Itama, who was tied to the stake, had long disappeared. Enemy attack. Uchiha Jin's pupils were shocked. This mysterious man could actually appear in their camp quietly, and was not discovered by Uchiha Funghwa with 3 Magatama. He wanted to shout a warning and call the surrounding Uchiha people at the first time, but a ray of moonlight sprinkled down, and the other party's figure was also revealed. Watching the other party's veil slowly lifted from the night, Uchiha Jin wanted to shout out the words stuck in his throat. The person in front of him shocked Uchiha Jin, who had never been surprised since he traveled through time, as if he was struck by thunder. A cold current ran from his heels to his forehead. As the moonlight completely penetrated the black shadow, Uchiha Jin revealed the identity of the visitor with a dry mouth. It's impossible for Uchiha to fight 7 alone. It's impossible for you to exist in this era. Could it be the dragon vein? That the black-haired young man in black and red cloud clothes stood there quietly with his eyes closed. There were 2 deep lines on his pale and handsome face. He wore a forehead protector that didn't belong to this era, and a scratch on it was clearly visible. Uchiha Jin, who had read and watched Naruto for many years, recognized the man at a glance as Uchiha Itachi, the man who was indispensable to the life of the heroine, the second pillar in the original work. Uchiha Jin was shocked, but he didn't forget to fill in his mind. Could it be that the Akatsuki organization also discovered the dragon vein deep in Lulan, and Uchiha Itachi was sent to this era by the dragon vein? Seeing that Uchiha Itachi didn't speak or move, Uchiha Jin was about to call Uchiha Funghwa and others. At this moment, the young man on the wooden stake slowly opened his eyes, and a pair of shuriken-like Sharingan emitted a faint light. A strange scene happened around Uchiha Jin, and the white moon in the sky seemed to disappear. A scarlet full moon rose in the sky, and then the whole space around him was filled with blood red. And an oppressive breath came to his face. In the moment of unconsciousness, Uchiha Jin felt as if he was hung high up by someone, and in the blink of an eye, he was tied to a cross. Blood Moon, cross. Could it be? Uchiha Jin, who came back to his senses, was so shocked that he couldn't speak. He had seen all this in books, but it was the first time he experienced it in person. Illusion Tsukuyomi. Uchiha Jin looked up and looked around. One by one, Uchiha Itachi slowly appeared, each holding a samurai sword in his hand. One of them said expressionlessly, "In the world of Tsukuyomi, space, time and mass are all under my control. In the next 72 hours, I will keep stabbing you with a knife." With the sound of the knife tip piercing into flesh and blood, the entire Tsukuyomi space was filled with Uchiha Jin's helpless and miserable screams. In his previous life, Uchiha Jin, who had mobilized a large number of troops even for a scratch, was close to collapse. Even though he knew it was an illusion, the pain from the knife slashing his body was real, and every stab made him tremble with pain. The characteristics of the illusion space prevented him from fainting from the pain, and he could only watch the blood hole that had just healed a second ago being stabbed with a sharp knife again. Uchiha Jin was in so much pain that he burst into tears and even lost control of his bowels and bladder. He didn't know how long it had been, and when he thought the time was up, a ghostly voice came to his ears. "There are still 71 hours. Ah!" Uchiha Jin's wailing continued.